Hey guys, I'm Isabella and you're tuning in to Bella's Book Blog. Today I'm sitting at my piano because we are going to be talking about music. Yes, music, but more importantly, we are going to be talking about an incredible composer who goes by the name of Beethoven. So Beethoven. There's been plenty of composers out there, but why Beethoven? You're probably wondering what makes him so special. Beethoven was a native German composer, piano player, violinist, organist, name an instrument and Beethoven can play it. He was one of the first composers to combine vocals and instrumentals. He composed sonatas, symphonies, quartets, operas, and much. Beethoven was born in December of 1770, but he didn't have an easy childhood. Let's dive a little deeper. Beethoven grew up with two younger brothers, Caspar and Johann. Beethoven's mother was Maria Beethoven. She was always invested in the positive and seeing the best in every situation. She was also very religious. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, we have Beethoven's father, Johann Beethoven. Johann was rough on Beethoven. He suffered from alcoholism. He was an okay singer and was a musician himself. He was actually who taught Beethoven a lot of his music. He was aggressive and would beat him for messing up or missing a mistake during practice. At age 7, Beethoven played his first performance at a recital. His dad cracked down on him for every mistake he made in order to make him a child prodigy. However, Beethoven's father was not his biggest role model. It was his godfather and grandfather, Kapellmeister Ludwig von Beethoven. Ludwig von Beethoven. That's Beethoven's name, and that's where it comes from. It comes from his grandfather and godfather. He was the best musician in the family. It gave him pride to know that this was his godfather. He looked to him rather than his own father. Beethoven was not a normal child, let alone normal student. So at just age 10, he dropped out and started working with composer Christian Neef, who was also an organist in the church. From him, he learned to develop his composition skills and his playing skills, as well as get connections in the composing field with, for example, Bach. Beethoven composed his first piece at age 12 with Christian Neef, and then composed many more pieces like one of his most famous pieces, Symphony No. 5, then to Symphony No. 7, Symphony No. 3, Fur-Elise, Symphony No. 8, and much more. However, Beethoven would start getting recognized because he would step outside the box. People from the church would give him music to compose for the services, and the royals would give him music to perform at their ceremonies, and he would do the exact opposite that they would tell him to. Because he was so bold, it got him recognized. Although church music is supposed to be happy, and so is the music at royal ceremonies, he would take major keys and turn them into minor keys, which sounds sad. The reason that he did this was because it all translated from his past with his father and the alcoholism he endured. As Beethoven grew up, his dad couldn't support his mom and his younger brothers. So at just age 12, he had to find a job with payroll at the church as an organist to provide for his entire family. This is why Beethoven's so hard on himself. He always felt alone. He never had someone to have his back. He was never married. He never had kids. He did love a woman named Antony, but she was married. And he tried writing her a letter, but he couldn't because music was the only way he could truly express himself. Beethoven truly believed in hard work, dedication, and pursuit to your natural genius or natural God. In this passage, a student asks Beethoven to give her advice about a composition she wrote. Beethoven says, "You ask for my advice, you cannot be devoted to any other pursuits," meaning you have to solely invest yourself in music and music only. I think it's very interesting that he uses the words nature and danger next to each other because those two don't usually go next to each other. And having little knowledge is dangerous unless you take full advantage of your natural talent or nature. Your natural gift is music, and he believes that you need to reflect on that. Self-reflection is important in the process. And as a melodist, you need to know all that you can. You need to master your craft. That's what Beethoven thought in order to be the best that Another reason why Beethoven was so different was because he knew his self-worth. Let's take a deeper look into that. Friendship was especially important to Beethoven, especially because he didn't have many people in his life. So during this passage, he is writing to one of his friends, and he says, "You know that best friends or truest friends are the poor. Rich people know nothing of friendship." I think it's very interesting how he puts the word poor and rich next to each other. Those are two contrasting the words that we're going to go back to. They become rich fortuitously, not by working hard. They are too often wrapped up in their own luck. But there is nothing to fear from whom a man has been placed to advantage circumstances, not through blind but deserved good fortune. Through merit, a man who did not lose courage because of his want. This passage shows me a lot about Beethoven because he believes that the rich are actually who is poor. And, fortuitously, they are rich because of their family members, not because they deserved it. They're wrapped up in their own luck. They got lucky that they were born into a family who has this prestigious idea about themselves and who they are and how much money they make and who they are involved in and the hierarchy that they are involved in. But deserved good fortune, the people who deserve good fortune are people like Beethoven and people like Bach, who are incredible composers and master their craft through merit. Beethoven was able to knock down all those social barricades. Royalty was supposed to be up here and musicians were all the way down here. But Beethoven said, no. I know my self-worth. I have self-pride. I know that I am an incredible musician. I am smart and I am talented. And because he knew his self-worth and showed that to other people gained tremendous respect for him. So he brought musicians all the way from down here to up here in that social hierarchy during the time. Now more musicians were expected and they were respected and they were also being paid better, and they weren't known or classified as the poor, but rather they were classified as being so talented in their merit and being scholarly. People loved Beethoven because he was so different. He changed the era of music, and Beethoven has always been loved by the majority of people because he broke and tore down all those boundaries that people had made for musicians. And his true heroic time, though, was during 1803 through 1812. During this time, he was actually deaf, and he created 6 symphonies, 5-string quartets, 6 sonatas, and a total of 72 songs and more. Can we take a minute? He was deaf, and he would hear this music in his head and transcribe it and compose it into these incredible arrangements that people still play today. Beethoven knew he was an incredible musician and composer, and so do tons of other people. So why did he need to write a book about it? Well, he wanted to write a book to express to people that everyone was born with a God-given gift and a natural gift and talent. And that's your way to express to the world who you are. And don't worry about if people think you're different just because you use that form of expression, whether it's through music or sports or science. He also wrote the book to tell people, don't be quick to judge. Beethoven was a music prodigy, and he had to leave school when he was 10 years old, and kids thought he was different and just couldn't bond with him because they were too quick to judge and didn't realize that some people's way of expression is different than others. Lastly, Beethoven wanted to show people that you can step outside the boundaries. And if you don't step outside of the boundaries, you're never going to accomplish anything huge in life and people aren't going to remember you. I take this into my own life because when I think of songs that I'm going to perform, I say, okay, should I stay with something easy? No, because that's just not going to challenge me in any way, and I'm not going to get farther in life by doing that. I have to challenge myself and do the same things that Beethoven did. Tragically, Beethoven died on March 26, 1827 at age 56 in Vienna, Austria because of post-hepatic cirrhosis of the liver. However, Beethoven's music will never die. Beethoven's music are pieces of anthems. They are played all around the world, and they are even played in the Longmeadow High School symphony orchestras, in which I played in, and truly his emotion that he puts into the pieces I can still feel, and that is what makes an amazing composer.